All right, I think we're actually live. All right, peeps, we're live for Tusk Talk number 11. God, it feels like we've done 1,000 of these, right? Let me turn Walter off. Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Walter, for playing us in for yet another Tusk Talk. Happy Friday. Thank you all for being here. It looks like the entire Ask Me Anything will now be an abundance of questions, which I'm so excited for. I'm so happy that I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, that paying you all to ask me really difficult questions was going to bite me in the ass. So thank you all for the large amount of engagement. You guys know that I love to talk, and I'll continue to do that. Hopefully I have answers to everything. And if I don't, then I'll circle back. And I think a lot of them were so good that actually, I needed to start a priority list. I have so many lists, but a priority list of new things and of things that you all are most interested in. I think that's exciting, and I want to be able to provide that for you guys. I guess the first thing to talk about is our TVL sitting around 4.89 to 5 mil. So it seems like we kind of stalled out since the last shakedown that we had. Nobody really knows what it was, to do with. I think that there was a couple people that wanted lower entries and some stuff, and so they wanted to test you all as a community, and that happens, and it's part of DeFi. And you guys did, beautiful. Everybody was waiting to dollar cost average in their positions, and I think a lot of people got to scoop up some really good entry prices, especially for Walrus Share. And since then, we've seen a lot of support come back in to put our peg token well above peg, and retain a lot of our TVL. So I mean, obviously we were floating around 6 mil. But you could see our chart. It was like, exponential growth, right? I mean, the chart was just going exponential with no cool off. And so it was nice to see that everybody was still on their toes and ready to get a better entry. There were still people that were active and engaged and not panicking in the chat. So all in all, I think it was a really good thing for us to kind of flush out some people that weren't long-term investors. And these kind of shifts need to happen for your protocol to grow to the next length. So with that being said, again, I really think that our TVL is super healthy, especially with market conditions. I would love to see it grow more, and I think we will in the future, especially with Narwhal coming out. So, yeah, that, and then we also released a new farm today. So there was a couple of discrepancies with the farm, and we'll talk about them right now. Of course, we originally were going to launch with USDIBS USDC, right? And I do see the issue that a lot of people raised, where a lot of people said that, hey, there's no skin in the game for Walrus investors. It doesn't seem like it's a good deal for your protocol. Actually, Piggy, his original idea was to do USDIBS Walrus, and I kind of shoved it off. So Piggy, I see that you're in here. Apologies. That was a much better option because that gives two peg tokens the ability to be auto compounded into each other. There's still buy pressure on Walrus. So altogether, that was a much better idea. So I'm very happy we changed that. So obviously when we released it, there was some issues with the Zap feature, which was found very fast. We tried to give as much warning to not use the Zap feature. We still had some people do it. Right now we have me and Piggy he's going to bridge over a lot of the USDIBs that we need. It doesn't look like a ton of people were affected. So I hope you guys can see that, even something as small as this, it was probably like $3,000 to $5,000 of maybe some weird slippage because it was a new pair and people use Zap, which wasn't tested, I guess, thoroughly enough in that regard. But, we instantly realized it, try to issue enough warnings to both communities. And then also I've already said that, I've made a place to claim it and you can get your return of your investment back that you lost. So it looks like it was due to high slippage because it was a new pair. It looked like it was, I don't know, being front ran or something. It was odd, but regardless, we're gonna pay everybody back. So hopefully that makes you all feel better, knowing that I was able to get to that within 10 minutes. I think I had the channel open ready for people to make claims. So sucks, but it happens in DeFi. Some contracts sometimes don't do what they're intended to do. And it's our responsibility to fix. So sorry if you're affected by that. Hopefully the compensation, lets you still stay in that farm and still earn. Also, I see a lot of people wondering, like, oh, you're splitting walrus share emissions up with more farms and, this and that. And I think we're going to talk a lot. I think I saw some questions about it. So we're going to be able to talk about it a little bit more when the questions come up. But, they didn't take a large amount of our walrus share. You could even look at the other with walrus share, even down in price, you're still seeing similar 1% daily. It's supposed to engage those investors to be able to build liquidity of US dibs here on Avalanche, and similar to how we will have a farm over there, just until we find some utilities and to have that option for investors. Yeah, and it was Trader Joe's fault. They routed the liquidity through a suboptimal pool. But the contracts were working as intended, but Trader Joe kind of screwed us there. So thanks, Trader Joe. But yeah, so I guess that was the main issue. And then, of course, the UI, people were upset, or it looked like maybe US Dibs could have suffered from it, that people thought that we were going to have a 15% daily APR on the US Dibs Walrus Farm, which is crazy to me, I guess, because I'm in this and out of this every single day. So I can see why some people may see that and be like, oh, man, we got to go all in on this. But there will never, ever be a product that can ever pay you 15% daily for more than maybe a day. It's just impossible, right? So hopefully that's a learning lesson for everybody. I think that's a learning lesson for everybody, is that no matter if you're in DeFi or not, 15% a day is just insane, right? We can't do that. We can't promise that. We can't offer that. I'm sorry.
When can you?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm speaking for the community here.
Yeah, I know. So is the zap function is disabled, by the way. So we may enable it here in the future, but we got to make sure that Trader Joe's routing us correctly, because that was the main issue, of course. So with all of that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else for us to kind of release.
Alpha?
I don't think I have any. Like I kind of released it all on the impromptu Ask Me Anything, but I wanted to do that during the volatility, because I feel like trying to give investor confidence is one of the greatest things I can do. So I try to provide that to you all. It was mainly to do with the NFT games, the large partnership, hopefully, and the kind of the tri-tokenomics. I kind of released some. They actually just sent me some of the traits over. They started working on some of the the individual traits. This will be a standalone game, and it will have tri-tokenomics, and it will use Walrus and Narwhal to some extent to grow your position there faster if you choose to. But again, the idea is that there's a new avenue for you all as investors to be able to do profit taking in another platform, the NFT game, and then also to get investors that are standalone in that play to earn game back interested, like, hey, I can increase my position in this, or I can do better in this if I use this Walrus or Narwhal coin, and hopefully we can garner some new investors in that capacity. So I'm trying to do a twofold there, and I think that really is all of the alpha. Let's start with some of the questions. Dylan, hit me with a hot topic.
All right, we'll go through. Actually, I'll just start at the beginning. Bugs came through with a lot of good questions. Her first question was, what is the benefit of taking Walrus cross-chain to Binance Smart Chain?
So, I mean,
have mercy on my fingers when you answer these.
So mainly right now, we're just testing the waters with it, right? Like we just want to see, like we don't want to restrict ourselves to Walrus being on one chain. If I have partners on FTM, which I do, if I have partners on BSC, which we do, I want to be able to have that utility to be able to use their platform. And so that's really the main goal. And then also, it's just like any future benefits that we could see with future partnerships. We want to be more omni-chain than we are solo chain, right? Now, the actual Tomb fork itself will always be on Avalanche. I don't plan on doing like any kind of like what Ripe did, where they went multi-chain or anything like that. I think for me personally, being such a small team, I think it's too complicated for you all as investors, and for me as running the entire ship. I just don't want to expose ourselves to that. So I think moving our assets over and maybe even our share tokens over and do something similar in that capacity, I think that would be really cool, and see what we can do with different partners. So that's the main goal of it, I guess.
Excellent. Jeff Waves wants to know if you could let us know a little bit about the APRs and the Jan pools.
Yeah, I've spoken about it a lot. APRs are completely unimportant in the Genesis pools. Anybody that's talking about APRs in the Genesis pool doesn't hasn't watched my video on Genesis pools. They are not supposed to be like some kind of daily profit. They are a token distribution tactic, and seeing them as anything other than that is disingenuous because it's a low liquidity coin that I'm giving you out, which actually starts with no liquidity. So it's a token distribution model to start off building liquidity through the community, right? So to me, talking about daily APRs means like you're thinking like, what daily profit can I get from the Genesis pool? There's you can look at it this way. There's a graph of all of the tokens and their weights in the Genesis pool and exactly how many tokens are going to that exact farm, right? So the Narwhal YUSD pool, the Walrus USDC pool, they all have percentages and numbers of the 100,000 Narwhal going out to you all as stakers in those pools. And then it depends on the TVL in that pool. So if 2 million Walrus LP goes into the Walrus LP pool, even though it's higher allocated, and there's only 100,000, Walrus or Walrus share USDC, then the Walrus USDC pool, even though lower allocated, will get more, or the APRs will be higher. So I think it's really disingenuous to try and talk about APRs. It's a completely dynamic thing that will happen very fast and move around a lot during the first couple weeks of the Genesis. So I don't really like to talk about APRs because I feel like it's APR chasing.
All right. Before I get to the next question, just want to give a shout out to Rookie One Piece. Thank you for boosting the server, friend.
Oh, thanks, man. I think we're still at 32 boost.
Oh, C17, is he in here?
C17.
The new dad.
Yeah.
Where's he at? Is he in here?
I don't know if he's in here or not.
C17 said this morning he didn't like the pink in his name and he wanted to be royal. So my man just unboosted the server and said that's better.
Damn. It's a cold world out here.
Very cold.
That's all right. Yeah. So congratulations to C17 if you ever hear this. I've already congratulated him in DMs. He sent me a picture of his little baby. I love that. I love that. We have investors with like families, and I love being that interconnected. I know that it's dangerous being like the lead and being that connected to you all, but I think it's what makes me different. So I'm not going to stop.
We'll be circling back to that at some point. But Captain Tibby wants to know, what are your thoughts on projects with referral bonuses?
Not my favorite model, but not the worst, I guess. It's a marketing tactic similar to like how I went with organic growth and similar to how there's shilling campaigns. I think that referral bonuses are way like in terms of like what I would be willing to do. A referral bonus I would do before I did a shill campaign. So there's that.
All right. Give me just a second. All right. Dave the 16th wants to know if there's one main point you want every investor, new and old, to know when coming to this protocol specifically from other DeFi projects. What sets it apart and what makes it different or better from other projects such as Great?
That's a really good question. I think that I'm going to go back to a conversation I actually had with DeFi Master. I see you in here. We were talking about it, and he was one of the people that really had constructive criticism on the US Dibs USDC pool, and I knew that, right? And so, and a lot of other people had said it too. I'm just speaking about a direct conversation I had with him, and I told him, I'll always take community suggestions, no matter how little you have in the protocol or how much. And I really do mean that. And I always think of it like, a collective community with 1,000 thoughts are better than my one brain with 10 thoughts. Like, yes, I am the leader of this, or I'm the captain of this ship, or whatever you want to call me in this protocol. But by no means do I have the entire say of it. And I hope you all as investors feel like that, because that's how I feel. By no means is everything I have the right call. But I think I'm very good at taking a ton of information or a ton of different suggestions and saying, look, this is where the market's at, and this is something that I think we can bring to market very well at this given time. And so with the collective community, and those goals in my head and how I view your all suggestions. I hope that makes us a little bit different. And also, I genuinely care. I think that I've made that very clear, and doing something as simple as like giving you all back that node snapshot from Snowy and Arctic Fox from forever ago. It's been months, and most of you all have compounded out of your losses, which I'm very thankful for. But I'm even giving you all a bonus for, whatever it is, and maybe it's not a lot, maybe it's only 20,000, right? But it's the entirety of something I could have used for Walrus, but I've chosen to do that, and having integrity in this space means a lot, and moving with integrity in this space means a lot because that gives you all power as an investor to make a better decision on which protocols you go into. Because maybe you do sell out of Frozen Walrus, and then you go to another project and they don't give you that same satisfaction as being in Frozen Walrus. I'm trying to get and engage long-term investors. And there's a lot of people in DeFi, and a lot of you all probably listening that aren't long-term investors because you've been burned 1,000 times. I'm just trying to do it different. And I really do mean that. And I think I'm showing that. I hope I am. And I guess that's kind of what makes us different.
All right. Here we go. Bugs Crypto asks, are you anticipating doing education on how to best take profit from an auto compounder, nodes, and farms?
Yeah, I think it's time I took profit on the $100 N series. I haven't recorded it. Sorry, I'm a little late. I'll record it and take some profits. I want to do a couple new videos before Narwhal launches so that we don't have any kind of mass confusion. So everything is laid out very plain as day, like no surprises. Like this is exactly what to expect. The only thing I can't tell you guys is what the APR is, and I know that's the main question.
What's the APR there?
Yeah, I know that's the main question, but I just don't have it, guys. I just don't. I can tell you allocation amounts and how much is going to that pool, but everything else is kind of like, has to happen in the market. It completely depends on a lot of. So, with that on topic, I actually forgot the question because I started going off on a tangent.
There you go.
I think I answered it.
She asked, yes, education on how to
more educational videos. More educational videos. Yes, I plan on doing. I think I need to pick up on the steam of my YouTube channel is doing really good. I have like 600 subscribers, 620. So really awesome to see that I'm still getting support on the YouTube, and you guys are still finding them helpful for your positions.
All right. Bugs also wants to know, with cross-chain potential, are you envisioning the NFTs to also be cross-chain? X amount AVAX and Y amount BSC?
I mean, I think that would be cool, but not something I'm looking for currently. Like if we get to our trading card game, like there are some NFT cross-chain capabilities with like, I think it's called like Scotty something. It's a play on Scotty Beam Me Up, but it's an NFT cross chain, like a bridge. And so I think it would be cool to like kind of explore, like, can we take our trading card game cross chain, right? Because I want it to be expansive. I want it to be touching, as many chains as possible. Obviously, Avalanche GameFi is like the most popular chain almost for GameFi. But yeah, so not with these new NFTs coming out. I want them centralized for AVAX for a good reason. Hopefully, I'm able to discuss that with you all further later.
Alpha. Bugs also wants to know, with us rounding the corner Q3, are we into Q3 or out? No, we're going out of Q3, right?
No, we're going into Q3. Right? Yeah.
No.
No, yeah, we are. Yeah, we're going into Q3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we're
I'll just re-ask the whole question without my stupidity this time. Also wants to know, with us rounding corner into Q3, will the roadmap be updated accordingly? And I actually meant to talk to you about this.
Yeah, so the roadmap, the roadmap is going to differ, right? So to me, constraining myself to a roadmap and getting all of my ideas and vision for the next year, not even knowing what we're capable of or our success rate in this market is, would be a disservice to everyone invested. I constantly have new ideas, new thoughts. Me and Piggy are constantly throwing things at a wall and making sure that we can make them foolproof and coming up with new ideas. You all are coming up with new suggestions. The market is dynamic. People respond. People come out with new protocols with really cool features. It would be impossible for me to encapsulate a full roadmap. I want to adhere to some of it and most of it, but I don't want to be constrained heavily to the roadmap. I want to be able to tell you all the next product coming to market, and then having the grand gesture still be there and stuff like that, but not be so I don't know, constrained with some type of roadmap. And I know that may rub people the wrong way, but I can try and update it with new features and some stuff that priority wise that I had when we first launched that I felt like with this market should be pushed back or move forward or whatever it is.
All right. Disco Chuck wants to know, looking into the next 6 months, what step in your roadmap do you see the most challenging? And also, which one do you see as the most important for your organic growth?
I mean, for what I see, I think that incorporating 2 more peg tokens would probably be, like, as far as managing, would be the most difficult for me personally. As far as like actually implementing and budgeting out and doing, I would assume execution wise would be the trading card game. But for me personally, I think maintaining 3 different peg tokens is going to be very difficult.
And then what do you see as most important for organic growth?
Yeah, I think that these 3 peg tokens coming out to the market and being successful, honestly, like you all have seen like real organic growth in DeFi with us, right? 2 videos is all I've produced. I don't think there's a lot of people that can say we got to where we're at with like 2 YouTube videos. It's just not the norm. So that stability that we've seen and proven ourselves in the market, doing that with 2 more peg tokens and a share token that still holds value, I think that's organic growth. So and what those peg tokens are, one being YUSD, getting the YUSD or the Yeti community, which again I know there's a question on, getting them involved in some capacity, and then also my vision of getting a 1-to-1 BTC peg with the Mammoth token is very, that's a big gesture, but it would be so cool to be able to ride Bitcoins back into the bull market with these coins that you're getting 0.5% to 1% daily. So those things right there I think are extremely impactful, because there's already people that talk about Frozen Walrus. There's not many people that don't know about Frozen Walrus now. Most CEOs of all of the different tune forks and even of different protocols already approach me. We've made a name for ourselves purely by you all having confidence in me and holding your positions and compounding like you have. That's made a huge difference organically.
All right. Wally's coming through with a heater. Almost every investor holds the token for the short term without understanding a long-term value. How can you ensure for us holding Frozen Walrus are more beneficial for long term? And what's your plan to increase the demand and the scarcity of the tokens?
So that's a really expansive question. So yeah, first is like how do you make people that have been burned so many times that are taught, even in a lot of discords you see, why would I ever hold a token longer than 1 month when all of this crap happens? That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen overnight, that I can change anyone's ideals or goals, and I don't know what the markets are going to do or how people are going to respond a month from now to Walrus and the ecosystem we have. Will people rotate if APRs don't hit a certain metric? I don't know all of that, but all I can do is continue to educate, continue to provide, use cases, and be a front face CEO that is able to articulate good ideas to you all and that I'm able to execute on it. I think constantly delivering and having something new and a tidbit to give you all every month, every couple of weeks, really retains investors. And as long as those use cases are beneficial and have burn mechanics, or give some benefit to you as a holder, and it's something different or fresh on the market, I think we can continue to strive to make Walrus bigger and bigger, right? I want to hit the 10 to 20 mil TVLs. And once you get there, you can really start, locking liquidity up and getting large well movements without affecting the price as much. And so there's a lot of things, and that's a really expansive question, and it's a really good question. But obviously we want to provide as many different burn mechanics as we can to get walrus off the market. And if it's not a burn mechanic, we need to make sure that the ecosystem is big enough or expansive enough that you always have something to do with walrus that you feel like you want to do, right? There's a difference between saying, hey, look, there's this X mechanic that you can use for your walrus token. But I want you to be like, oh, all I have to do is I can buy some extra walrus and go use it here. That's kind of what I want to do. And that's what I want to do with this NFT platform and this trading card game and any kind of future utility we bring forward to you all.
All right, and before we go any further, Master Theo joined the Server Booster Club. Thank you, Mr. Theo, Mr. Master Theo. All right, continuing on, Bugs Crypto wants to know, what is the most important lesson you've learned these past few months in Frozen Walrus? It's a good one. We've learned a lot.
That is a really good question.
Would it be Zap?
I think that no matter how much integrity or how much I do that's good for the space, is that I can never be too comfortable with providing you all new times where I have to prove my integrity. This space has so many bad actors and so many people that want to hurt your investment or you personally. And I think it's an understatement to say that I've proven myself, right? And I've said that a couple of times. I think that I need to continue to strive and not be comfortable, to constantly prove to you all that you can trust in me and have investor confidence in Frozen Walrus. I think it's really important. It's something I've learned because I see everything that goes on around me. I see all these different protocols and all these issues, and I can just never be too comfortable. And I have to realize that I'm running this multi-million-dollar platform, and it's not to be taken lightly. And so I think that's one of the greatest things I've learned is the responsibility that I have on my shoulders is ever growing, and I have to constantly prove to you all that, you can trust me.
Okay. Rocket wants to know, are there specific metrics you have in mind before launching something like Mammoth? For the long term, what do you see as the biggest benefits to Frozen Walrus from Liquid Capital? I should have spaced those questions out to tell you that there's 2 questions, but anyway.
Yeah, so what kind of metrics would I be looking for to launch Mammoth? So when Narwhal hits, I want to see us grow in TVL because we need the new money in to support this new peg token as it grows and expands. I need to see that we're, using the system as it's intended for arbitrage and taking proper profits, and the treasury is able to pivot from one peg token to the next and keep stability. I need to see that Walrus share is well received in the market. I want to see that it can go up because, if it goes up, then the APRs, even after adding 1 or 2 more farms, will still remain at the same levels of APR. So I feel like those things, if we can, see that with Narwhal over the next month or 2 months, then I think it's a very lucrative time to launch something with a volatile peg token, which would be, Bitcoin. And I think that Bitcoin opens up a door to a lot of other people, a lot of new types of investors that may not know anything about Tomb Forks, but are Bitcoin maxis that are able to come into our platform and increase our TVL even more.
Okay. And what do you see as the biggest benefits to Frozen Walrus from the Liquid Capital thing?
Yeah, I think the main benefit is the exposure that we don't have to shill market. We have exposure to 30 partners, that we have a open channel, and a lot of people recognize my name. So a lot of you all are able to advertise me just like casually there, and like people are starting to realize Frozen Walrus through that platform. And so I think that's a great thing. And if I ever have a question, or if I ever want to do joint marketing or anything like that, like, I'm best friends with LB. Well, again, I'll say that until he says it, then I have to keep saying this. And Eric, I'm good friends with them. And if they feel that same way, they'll benefit Frozen Walrus any way we see fit with Liquid Capital, whether it be partnerships, marketing, whatever. And then also, all of these protocols, there's a lot of different types of protocols. Of course, there's a lot of Tomb Forks and Liquid Capital, but there is other protocols. And so being able to be collaborative and have new ideas with those with those people and try and find new ways to benefit both investors. I really like that ideal. And so we get that with liquid capital. I'm able to trust those partners in that protocol a little bit better. What do you got?
I have.
Oh, my legs just went numb.
Disgusting. JC inquires. I put that there because I kept saying asks. So I was like, what can I use to spice this up? So I went with inquires. What do you think about that?
Wait,
Did you like that one?
Say it again.
I said JC inquires rather than JC asks.
Mm-hmm.
I was using bigger words.
Okay.
Hit the thesaurus out. JC inquires, is it possible to show when nodes have stopped producing or have it indicate at what capacity it is paying out?
Yeah, I'm going to write that one down. I have to get with LB about the mechanics behind the nodes as far as like what we can display. Node displays. I see a lot of questions about that. And like, I do understand that. I just got to see to what capacity can he, put new features as far as like UI wise. So I just got to ask him and see what he says. So I've wrote it down. It's the first thing on the list. As we get to more, then I'll start writing those down as well. But that's my number one right now.
All right. Max 180Y says, is there any possibility for future development of an automated investment strategy bot built into Frozen Walrus website to carry out the investment strategy proposed in the Discord? He gave a link and he also said something that I wanted to touch on.
What's the
link?
Let me
scroll back up here. It's to the strategy thing we've posted before. Hold on. I'll pull that up. And then, Max, you also said I'd love to be able to set it going and come back 6 months later. I highly advise against any kind of DeFi investment that you would just set it and forget it.
Yeah, I wish I could say that's true, but
don't do that.
There's just too many contracts and too many things that can change on a daily basis with all price action and like all crypto. I wish we were there, but we're just not there yet.
And the Discord link goes to the starter guide Walter posted with the flow chart.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, of course, again, EMP has a really nice one that you can break it up with how much LP you want in all three different categories, which would be boardroom, peg token LP, and then share token LP. And I think that's really cool. It's got two different sliders. I really like it. And I think me and Piggy have talked about implementing something similar. I didn't even know that EMP had it, but I do like that. But again, it's not something that would automatically be able to take profit for you or do anything like super cool like that, right? So, but I mean, obviously, I would like to see that as well. I can write that down.
All right,
actually.
Graham. Okay, I'll give you a second.
All right. What's the next one?
Next one is from Grandpa Brett, and he wants to know, once Walrus goes cross-chain to BSC, how does the token price on BSC affect TWAP, since prices could be different, like what we saw with USDibs earlier today?
So the Oracle only reads the AVAX side of it. But of course, if there's large price movements, depending on the liquidity size, there would be like an arbitrage chance where people would catch up if they could buy it cheaper somewhere else and sell it higher somewhere on a different chain. Then that would happen, but that wouldn't affect like the actual TWAP. Again, that's only read off of the AVAX liquidity pair.
Gotcha. All right. Flame asked a couple of questions, so I'll ask them all and I'll let you get to them. Can we work out a partnership with Yeti, and can we make a Walrus ETF index with AVAX Grape, Walrus W Share, and USDC, and when USDibs Walrus LP nodes? I know you wanted to get to that first part.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go back in my brain what you just said. What was the say it again? Yeah, say it again.
Okay.
Yes, a lot. I'm out of it.
When Yeti partnership.
Yeah, so Yeti partnership, like, so when I first was in talks with Yeti, it was about 2 weeks before Frozen Walrus launch. I spoke to one of the co-founders there, and I said, "Hey, look, we're launching. probably with a second token that's going to be using your token. And so I wanted to just kind of get a formal hello, and we had a 30, 45 minute discussion on voice chat. He liked it. He was not familiar with Tomb Forks, but obviously he knew of OG Tomb. And so I talked with him a lot, and I said, hey, this is just me. I'm coming out to it. I know that, you probably don't want to attach yourself to such a, not a blue chip platform. There's a lot of security risk with exposing a bunch of leveraged traders with their mintable tokens to protocols, that aren't as to the same status as like, Aave and Yeti and people that have had these $100,000 security audits, which I understood, right? And then the market hit and things went down, and then Frozen Walrus went up. And so then I said, hey, look, about a week or two ago, I said, hey, look, I know we've spoken a couple of times since then, but look at the volume that we're producing. Currently, there's no way that you can offer the same benefits. Allow your holders access or even like have a discussion with them. Hey, there's this cool, new fork we've spoken with the leader of. Anything, right? And they thought that I was asking for some type of Yeti emissions to do dual farming, which would have been great. But I said, no, look, I just need you to say, hey, look, your investors with all your YUSD, there's, you have access to this platform where you can get 1% daily returns. But obviously it is not as safe as doing like USDC leveraging and like parking your stables or something. So, if you want to expose your platform to that, please do. I'm here to answer any questions you got. And I gave him a breakdown. And since then, I have not had any, further discussion. If we become successful with Narwhal and YUSD, I think that there will be a different discussion. Currently, they're only hosted on Platypus and Curve. So I think that after they see how lucrative it can be to work with a partner that's able to provide them deep liquidity, because they do have some smaller partners, then I think that they'll be more in tune with speaking with me. So I know that was long, but I wanted to give you all the full story on how far I got with Yeti, and how, I'm still hopeful. So what was the other part of the question?
All right. Can we make a Walrus ETF index with AVAX, Grape, Walrus, WShare, and USDC?
Yeah. So the good thing is Dex Finance is a really good platform on BSC. The better news is they've reached out because they're doing it as a service to offer you ETFs where your community can mint in and hold ETFs. It's being discussed by me and Piggy, different mechanics or different ways that we can produce it. But you've almost got it right on the money with what we're thinking. So hopefully we can get a platform up where you all are able to mint basket tokens like that and use them in different ways, because it really is the amount of things we can do with them is really cool. And so if you don't know what an ETF is, you mint in with like AVAX, USDC, whatever, and you get a basket of assets based on the allocation. Every single time it mints, it balances that pool. So if there's 4 tokens and there's certain allocations like 10% AVAX, 50% USDC, then that's like what the token, that's what, whenever you mint in, it's always going to try and get that same value. So it's a balancer pool. So I think it'd be really cool to expose Walrus to one of those and try it out. So yeah, that's something that we're, obviously looking into.
And finally, when USDibs Walrus LP needs?
Yeah, I think me and Piggy just need to get together on it. Obviously, that doesn't affect our emissions, and it gives more use case for USDibs. It allows you access for USDibs and Walrus to increase your position, similar to Grape and Walrus notes. So I think it would be really cool to do that. I'm sure Piggy also is in agreement that it would be really cool to do that. So we'll probably have them up pretty soon.
All right, that is the halfway mark of my questions. Do you want to see if anybody wants to come up and ask you a question? I know.
Sure. Yeah, if y'all want to come up.
Very inquiring minds.
If y'all want to come up, raise your hand. We're about 30 minutes into the Ask Me Anything, so halfway through, we're doing good. We're killing it. Looks like nobody's coming up yet. 107 members in the audience. Great to see everybody. I like to see our numbers grow. The more people that are knowledgeable or know what's coming are able to talk about it in the community when I'm not there. So you all being able to hear this information, be able to ask your questions. That's what I like. That's why I love having big Ask Me Anythings. Temporal Ice, I think this is the first time that I've seen you come up. Temporal, how are you?
Oh my God. Temporal, what's up, man? Unmute yourself.
Uh-oh. We're
No.
having some trouble. I thought we were going to be able to meet you today.
Oh no.
Maybe
You just
not.
got to unmute your mic.
Maybe not today. But I'll keep going. Dylan asked me another question. Maybe he can get it.
Okay. Paulino wants to know, is it possible to implement a button to reinvest profits into the boardroom? Or in the boardroom was the specific thing he said.
Like auto claim to the boardroom from like your share emissions from farms, I think is probably
maybe sell walrus to get more walrus share out of the boardroom.
Yeah, so there's auto compounder strategies like that. I don't like it. So that one specifically, I don't see why we couldn't implement maybe a button that says like send to boardroom or like boardroom, and it sends your share emissions from that to the boardroom to compound your boardroom position. But I don't like anything that automatically sells the peg token. I think that's dangerous. Like an auto stake farm that just automatically stakes your shares into the boardroom. That'd be pretty cool.
All right. Let's see here. Stargate. The next few questions are pretty loaded, so buckle in.
Okay, Temper, I'm going to send you to the audience. If you have a question you want to come back up, feel free. Just raise your hand and hold on before you ask them. Master Theo wants to come up.
Theo, our new server booster.
Yo.
Yo, guys, how you doing?
Good to see you
Good,
again.
man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I wanted to be the 33rd booster. Like, I made this decision a few days ago when we was back at like 29 or 30, and I said I want to be number 33, and there we are.
Here we are, 33.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell
so,
yes.
I've got one question. Like, when it comes to like the nodes, like I'm not quite sure that we're doing the same thing as in the US TIPS protocol, where the treasury is like backing the node holders. Like, I don't know, it's a 1-to-1, and it's a temporary thing from what I understand that's going on over there. Are we doing the same thing with WShare USDCLP? And if so, like, what are your thoughts on like, is this a good thing? It should be a good thing for the protocol because it ends up with more protocol and liquidity, and then like the rewards get compounded back in. So it's just, I guess it's a never expanding cycle.
Yeah, I love it. Whenever they actually initially did that, I was like, why aren't we doing that with our protocol and liquidity? So then I was like, beyond, let's push it. And so I think that was the course of action that took. I think it was Piggy that did it, and then I was like, that's a really good idea, or vice versa, whatever it was. Yeah, we've already done that. We made about a 50K node purchase, and then we also made a 30K in Walrus, and then a 50K in Walrus share. And then we'll just keep compounding that position, and then later on we'll probably add to it. And then we also get 20% of that back as protocol and liquidity, so technically we can kind of loop it in. And so I really like that because that gives you all some more trust of like, hey, they're using their entire, like the treasury protocol and liquidity, they're locking it up permanently in nodes. So that's good, right? We don't really have a use for that other than defending the peg and strengthening our liquidity. So yeah, I want to keep doing that. And then if we need to do an event to kind of really bolster some new nodes, right? Our APRs are pretty good in our nodes right now, but if they start dropping off, maybe we can do another event where we compound and we add a bigger position too. So yeah.
That is absolutely fantastic. Right. Thanks very much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming up.
See you guys later.
See ya. Temporal, come on up. Let's see if you got your mic fixed. Maybe you got to unmute yourself somewhere, probably in the bottom. I don't know if you're.
Okay, there we go. I think this is the first time I'm actually speaking.
It is. Nice to meet you, Temporal.
Yeah, you too. But yeah, like I'm wondering what NFT projects influence your decisions for your NFT planning here.
So, what NFT projects do I have set up to like release this year? Is that the question?
Well, no. I mean, the question is, what NFT projects influenced you?
Oh, man, I don't know if I can expose too many of those because I feel like it would give me It would give away
that's a loaded question.
Yeah, because like the ones that are influencing me are the ones that we're taking off of, right? So there's a lot of AVAX NFTs that I really like. There's a lot on AVAX. If you just look at the top AVAX NFTs that are gamified, those are the ones that I really took to and that I really like. But I really like, and I think I've expressed this before, is I really like those risk to earn games that aren't as popular right now. But when Police and Thieves came out, those where you can like get 10,000 mints and then it kind of self perpetuates from there. Of people building liquidity and minting and stealing mints. I really like those, but I was going to do that with Walrus, but then I took a different direction because of the market. So those are kind of the ones that I really liked, or risk to earn. But there's a lot of tri-tokenomic GameFis that I really like as far as NFTs.
Okay. Also, I just randomly thought of this, but might be fun is a Pokemon style payout.
What do you mean by payout?
Well, you know how in the Pokemon games you battle a trainer, and then if you win, you get money, and if you lose, you pay money.
Yeah. So something like that.
Like that in the trading card game.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, there's actually, I don't know if you guys know this, and especially you, Temporal. I know you love Pokemon. There's a game on AVAX right now called Evoverse. And it's a Pokemon style like MMO that you can play right now. They're in like beta, and you can go in there and play it on. I actually played it on my desktop the other day. It's actually really nice. It's a nice platform, and I think they're building like a Pokemon style game over there with NFTs and involving a lot of that stuff. So might want to check it out. It's called Evoverse.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming up, man.
Nice to meet you, brother.
You too.
All right, Wonderful Destruction. Hello, as always, Mr. Wonderful Destruction. How are you?
There's a third of me. Hello, guys. Right. Question about. I got myself lost now. Yeah, because I'm at work. Right. So looking in the future, so potentially Mammoth is going to be pegged with Bitcoin. So I was thinking, why we don't use Ethereum instead because of smart contracts, especially with now ETH 2.0.
Because I think a lot of people are already pegging to ETH. And I think that we can all agree that Bitcoin's going to have another rally and it's going to go up and it'll be the first indicator. So, and there's no one else that's pegged one-to-one to Bitcoin. I think that DeFi Master had said that it had happened before in an older style Tomb Fork, but it has not been done for quite some time. And I think out of everything, people hold up either the same or more Bitcoin. So I think it accesses more TVL. Now, as far as like Bitcoin maxis moving their Ethereum to their Bitcoin to AVAX is a bit of a steep learning hill to climb. But regardless, I think that Bitcoin is a little bit more of a staple in the communities than Ethereum because technically we're on a competing chain with Ethereum being AVAX. Kind of my thoughts.
Oh, yeah. See where you're going with that. Yeah. So what about centralized exchanges? Do you see at some point in the future we could ramp up fiat straight away to Walrus or Walrus Share?
What do you? I'm sorry. Say it again. I don't think I understood the question.
No. Sorry. No. So any point in the future, are we looking to get into a centralized exchange?
Oh, no. I mean, I think that would do more damage to us. I mean, maybe after the year and we've shown ourselves in the market, I won't completely write it off, right? But there's so many scam companies that try and approach me to try and get listed on a centralized exchange. Most of them are bogus. You have to have large amounts of trading volume. But I'm not writing it off. Like if it works for us as investors and we need to expose ourselves to that much capital, then of course, then I'll look into it, right?
No, of course. I mean, considering that there's potential of Bitcoin. Normal being pegged to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It would probably give better access. I mean, in one way, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean that's my main concern is bringing it to a centralized exchange. It can be damaging to tokens in general. So I mean, again, if I find a lucrative deal that would I know for sure benefit Walrus and its ecosystem, then I wouldn't look past it by no means. I'm not like completely writing it off.
Oh, That's all from me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming up, man.
Thanks, man. Austin, did you see in the chat last night that we're on Coinbase?
Yeah, we're getting tracked. I think they take API data from CoinMarketCap or something. Well, actually, probably don't, because CoinMarketCap's owned by Binance. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I know Coinbase is starting to expand their like platform to be more of a like, come use us, and then you can check your portfolio and stuff. So I knew that they would probably start using some kind of API data from CoinGecko or something. But it's still cool to see, right? I mean, it's a big platform.
Yeah. I sent it to my friends and said your crypto's on Coinbase now.
It makes me sound so douchey. Yeah, my brother's got a coin listed. It's called Walrus on Coinbase. Ever heard of it?
All right. We got some meaty questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's get through them.
Okay. Stargazer wants to know, people evaluate a given tune fork using any number of criteria, but I would guess that the APR paid out in farms in the boardroom is on everyone's list. Right now, Frozen Walrus is offering great APRs. When you look at other successful tune forks like Grape and Dex, the APRs are much lower. My concern is that the APRs at Frozen Walrus will decline over time and people will jump to the next high APR fork. Do you anticipate any drop in the APRs? And if you do, how do we keep people from leaving?
Great question, right? Said APRs a bit too many times. It triggers me because I fight so hard to keep APRs out of discussion, right? The value of a tune fork should come from the overall ecosystem's health and nothing to do with like what you're making on a tune fork can offer you 10% a day, but that don't mean you're getting 10% a day. You should be looking at the stability of the protocol and what it can offer you day over day for many, many days, not what is it going to offer me in today's. Because like, here's what's going to happen, and I know it because I've been an investor in tune forks. You're going to be farming, and then there's going to be a new token, and you're going to go over there, and you're going to try and farm for 5%, and then it's going to drop down to 4%, and something else is going to offer you 5%. You'll never make your money. 5% isn't really 5% if it's not sustainable. Time in the market, proof that we're stable, proof that you want to hold your position here is done by other things other than just APRs. And if you are here for just APRs, I'm telling you now, they're going to drop eventually. Now, one of the ways that we get to be able to play with that a little bit more, obviously Walrus Share, depending on its price, the APR differs. If Walrus Share were to go to $1,000 right now, our APRs would quadruple. So obviously that would attract more attention, which would attract more TVL into the farms, which would then dilute the farms a little bit more. But you get the idea. So that's one way that we can kind of look at APRs that could go up because we have more utility now, right? And then the boardroom will still offer pretty good APRs because now the Walrus Share that we have emitted can never go up or down. It's always a static amount. That has to be split. There's only so much Walrus Share in existence that has to be split between now 2 boardrooms and eventually, hopefully 3. So that way we're able to change APRs up a little bit, offer you higher APRs in certain areas. But again, the farms are completely contingent on that Walrus Share holds its value. And I think it's doing it very well. But again, I'd love to see, 0.1 to 0.5%. Now, will we ever get there? I don't know what Walrus Share price will be. But at those prices, the people that are there know that it's a legit project. Even now at 1% APR, some people may still be like, some of the bigger people may still be like, it's still a little bit too high for me. You all as smaller DeFi investors can just take your capital and move to the next small project. People with $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 can't just go moving from project to project with low liquidity, right? We want those investors because when they park their money, they're not going to sit there and try and take it out very soon. Now, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm just speaking in generals here, of course. But those are the kind of people we want to attract anyway. We want something sustainable, something long-term. And so to be so focused on these daily APRs is something that I hope that I can provide assistance on for everybody to stop. Because it's really unimportant. Again, just like getting into a peg token at $1.40 and then letting it drop over the next 2 weeks to $1.20 isn't that big of a deal because most of the time you're going to compound out of it anyway. So, is it as flashy and new as X, Y, and Z tune fork? No, but you come into a huge risk. So I want Frozen Walrus to be a large portion of people's portfolio and then a smaller portion going to new tune forks, right? That's what I want to be. I want to be a staple in people's portfolio, not what we rotate out of. And it takes time, but just letting you know my goals. Good question.
All right. Give me just a second to. You spoke a lot on that one, as I knew you would, but I still wasn't prepared.
Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. I love talking.
Yeah, this will go till 9 o'clock if we let him.
I love
All
it.
right.
I love that we had all these questions. I should have paid you guys earlier to come up with questions. Jeez. So much dead air could have been avoided.
All right. I'm sad. Dude, Steve's going to be so upset when this is over because he's at AVAC's house today. He's very upset. He's just going to miss this one. So,
Yeah,
anyway.
he's a big supporter.
Yes. Aries Lemarian, I hope I'm saying that right. I've said it a couple times. You've never said if I said it right or not. But anyway, he wants to know what, in your view, are the key elements of a success in seniorage protocols, as well as what are the biggest risks, and how does the roadmap support these elements? What were your most important lessons learned so far? And I'll break those down one by one for you if you want.
Yep. Good questions. Start with the first again.
First was, what in your view are the key elements of a success in seniorage protocols?
I think there's a lot of avenues to a successful tune fork that you can, like it's a very opinionated how you could view a successful tune fork. But obviously print cycle, how often it's printing. And then I think a really major metric is what happens when below peg. Is there still buyers looking to dollar cost average in? Have people been taking proper profits so that they can buy the dips? And so just in our circumstance, why I think that we're successful, we saw one time going under. I was not offering you anything different than what Frozen Walrus was 2 weeks into Frozen Walrus's existence. We had a lot of buyers step in at 84 cents. Everybody said it was a no-brainer based on X, Y, and Z. They bought back in with no extra benefit or no gimmicks. You all raised it back over peg. We went to $1.50. We stayed there. We recently had a bank run, or a small bank run, I guess you could say. People were ready with their profits. 98 cents, bought back up, big buys, a lot of volume, very healthy. So those are some of the things that I look for personally, and I know that's probably a lot of whale metrics that they look for, just with speaking to some of the whales that are in our community and many others. So there's that major avenue that I think a lot of people, I also think that share price and share utility is something that's looked past a lot of, but that's something that I'm trying to bring to Frozen Walrus, because I think that, big share prices are something that people early on looked at for tune forks. And I think a lot of people still have it in their head, like, is their share price going well? And if it's not, then maybe the protocol's not doing well, right? Because that's really your all's piece of the pie, your all's profit sharing. You're sharing in the Walrus emissions together with those pools in the boardroom. So I look at those things, and so I think those are the two major ones that I would speak on. Other ones are kind of nuances.
All right. So the next one was, what are the biggest risks, and how does the roadmap support these elements?
The biggest risk is that, investors lose confidence in me, lose confidence in the protocol. The market conditions, I would say, are the biggest three risks that we have, because those three things are out of my control, right? Well, investor confidence is, I guess, the most in my control, and that's why I work and bust my ass for you guys so much and do what I do to make sure that that's never a question. I never have to question, do my investors have confidence in this protocol? So hopefully I provide that. So that's the one that I have the most say in. The other two, of course, I have no say in.
And then how does the roadmap support those elements?
Yeah, so the major goal is so that we can back our protocol with the Treasury. The Treasury, I want to hold 50% of protocol-owned liquidity by the end of emissions. And then after the end of those emissions, then Walrus is set free to do exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stand on its own by providing you all things to do with your Walrus tokens, and people outside of the Tune Fork that look at Walrus can use it in whatever platform that we've developed for them. And in the future, I want to make sure that it's used as close to a stable peg as possible. And then, this could change by the end of it, but but a lot of the things that I do in the early stages of developing this deep liquidity that we're trying to do is provide use cases for your Walrus tokens so that we can constantly circulate them with fun or beneficial use cases for that Walrus token, so that later on, after we don't have you all incentivized to make LP, you still say, oh, well, it's still lucrative to do this with Walrus. It's still lucrative to do this with Walrus. And eventually you all, peg it to $1 just by the amount of people that know it. That's my goal. And I know it's a big one, but it's something I'm shooting for sure.
All right. And finally, what were your most important lessons learned so far? And we kind of touched on this earlier, but just in case.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak about, I guess, different important lessons is that, no, I guess it really falls back. I mean, that's really my most important lesson is that the trust that you all have in me is so fragile because of the space and the way that it moves, and that I can never be too transparent or annoy you all. I know Flame, I know he's in here or he might be asleep now, but so many times I get say, how many times do you get to ping us? I try and provide you all with the most amount of information so that you all yourself can see this is a trusted protocol. So, that's why I do it. And I know that it's a lot of pings, but, as an investor, I would appreciate that. So I just try and provide that to you all. And that's how I run it. That's how I run this.
All right. Kenny Thor asks, do you have any information regarding the trading card game, such as how the tokens are going to be integrated? Are there going to be will there be a rank system with tournaments and whatnot?
There will probably be local tournaments as far as like what we run in the, Top Gun games or stuff like that. Currently, right now, we're not budgeting for the tournament mode. We may at a later time, depending on our treasury's health, but I just want to get the scope of the project down. And it's a lot of roadmaps and working asynchronously with a completely new team that are developing in a different time zone. So we're still working through those. But I mean, I don't want to give a lot of details because I'm about to give you all an NFT game in the coming months. And, that's became a lot bigger and a lot shinier than the trading card game. Not that I'm lacking on the trading card game. It's just been difficult to make headway with it because there's a lot of moving parts that we're trying to get down, especially with the scope and stuff.
All right. Ace asks, big stakeholders can manipulate voting and governance as they wish. How does Frozen Walrus team solve this problem? There's a lot more to after this. I just figured I'd give you one after another.
Yeah, so I hear this a lot, and I would like to say that why do you all think that people want, like, I get it. People probably do manipulate these votes, but the alternative is allow each individual wallet with any amount of Walrus share make a vote and make it weighted as much as any other. So then wouldn't there also be malicious people that have absolutely no skin in the game to put 0.01 Walrus share in 300 wallets and then make 300 different votes and then mass do that, even think grander scale because people are even more malicious? So why would I would trust someone that has $500,000 in Frozen Walrus over I would 300 wallets that are the same person. They can both be manipulated. This is the better of the two, in my opinion, and that's why I choose to do that. Is there well manipulation? Yes, but that's why it's not a full DAO yet. It's people that are able to vote, and we're able to vote on these decisions in the future. Hopefully, we can trust that people aren't going to abuse the protocol that have hundreds of thousands in it. I always found that odd. Does it happen? I'm sure it does, but I find it odd that we think that it would just that's what we default to, right? So I don't have any way to disband that other than try and communicate with the whales and make sure that we have healthy whales in the system and that everybody's happy, which I do.
Okay. Most investors just focus on the price of the token in the short term instead of real value of a project. Can you tell us the motivation and benefits for investors for the Frozen Walrus tokens?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good point, as a lot of people focus on price because at the end of the day, we're all here for money, right? So it's very easy to focus on the daily prices. I do it myself. I'm no better than anyone else. But obviously, you invest in teams and projects, not for the current price unless you're swing trading. I always say this. I say, are you swing trading? If you say no, then quit looking at the charts. Obviously, make sure you're reading announcements and looking for any large price swings. You can do that with CoinGecko or any of the other apps that you can put a price alert on. But if you're not swing trading, stop looking at the daily charts, right? And it's important that you all as investors, the type of investors I want to bring in and the type of investors that I built Frozen Walrus for, are the people that want it to sustain something long term and do this GameFi through this protocol and be able to play it and run it for a very long time, build up deep liquidity, and then build up a treasury that we can start voting for new investments, and then also find new ways to utilize our tokens with those investments. So that's how I see it. You're investing in me and the team, because everything in DeFi, nothing's foolproof. And it really depends on the team to be able to pivot out of those situations. And so that's really what in my opinion, what you invest for. So yeah, we have actually somebody that wants to come up. I have not seen this person ever. Zanko?
Zanko.
I'm going to call you Zanko. What's going on, man? First time up here. What's going on? Nice to meet you.
Hey, guys. Nice to meet you all. Layman Hillbilly. Hey, thank you. I do have one question.
Sure.
All right. So it's a little bit awkward what I'm about to say, but basically, I have a rich friend, which is a DeFi enthusiast. So he wants to invest, but he saw Ripple. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. Passive Panda Node Club.
He was in PNC, the one that rugged 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay. He invested in that one, you're saying?
So the problem that we had, it's the ownership. So the ownership it's a problem for us. In the audit report says that we still haven't revoked the ownerships yet. So I know that you're working on the multi-sig platform, but I need to have like how many times do you think you need to fix that?
Yeah, so it's important to know that we're not renouncing contracts for some time. So that was the critical error that you saw at the very top. The other ones we're talking about, there was a deployer address and then a dev wallet, which was the one that I controlled, the deployer address being our main dev for Piggy. So those two right there, we're looking to consolidate that to one multi-sig so that if someone wants to make a change to say like the API to the allocation amounts, which would affect the APRs, add a new farm, et cetera, to the contracts, they would have to be signed off by multiple people. So that's going to be worked on, very soon, probably within a week, if I had to guess. It just depending much earlier if I can have a say in it, depending on everybody's, goals. Me, the dev, and Piggy will get together, make a multi-sig, make sure that everybody knows about it. But as far as renouncement of contracts, I've stated very clearly why I won't be renouncing those contracts. But with the dev wallet being consolidated to a multi-sig, there will be a less amount of people that are able to make harmful actions on our contracts at that point.
So you got me. So this is our only preoccupation right now. It's the only point holding us back.
Yeah.
But I think that once this is solved, we're good. We're good to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, right? Because I know there's going to be this liquid capital, which is perfect. I love the concept of a DeFi exchange. It's awesome. And you guys are all doxed, so you're good. We trust you. I trust this community. I really loved what we're doing as a community. I loved it. I simply love the frozen chat. It's awesome. You guys have some really sadistic person. There's people like sugar daddies and stuff. But hey, this is perfect. I love the mood and the vibes that you guys are providing to us. It's funny. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that I think your friend, I think that you all both have the right heart and what you're saying. And if that's if you're putting large amounts of money and you're uncomfortable with something, I'm very upfront about it. And so if you see that in the audit, and I've made it very clear, and you're still uncomfortable and you just want to wait, I would wait. It's very good for you and your friend.
Actually, we're just farming.
Yeah.
But we want to expand. So to expand, we have to node up. That's it.
Yeah, I understand that completely, man, and I appreciate you asking, and hopefully that answers some of the contract questions too, because that was a good thing to kind of trail off of anyway, with the new audit that just came out. So, yeah, I hope you and your friend have a long-lasting farming relationship here in Frozen Walrus, and I hope I answered some of your questions, and hopefully we can get the multi-sig done on the contract soon, and then again, renouncement probably won't be done for a very, very long time when I know that we can run as a decentralized platform.
Okay, we'll keep farming. We'll keep farming.
All
Thank
right,
you.
man. Thank you for coming up.
The club, bro.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah, we completely skipped over the audit during the talking points at the beginning. That was kind of like a big deal, and we just. Anyway, to finish off Ace's last part of his question, he said, "Where do you and the team see the world of blockchain being in years to come, and how will Frozen Walrus change the landscape of crypto in the years to come?" Well, we are listed on Coinbase,
so what I envision for Frozen, like blockchain in general, like I've got big ideas, right, of what I want to see blockchain technology come to, as far as like in our daily lives, as far as like what blockchain can do, paperless receipts, for deeds, for insurance, immutable stuff that can never be changed, no more tampering, but for our financial system and for people to take to that, especially the very large elites that get away with so much. Not to get into like conspiracies and stuff, because I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but of course we all know that's definitely happening. I think it'll take a very long time for anything to change in that avenue. So for a large scale blockchain technology to come to everyday life will be much longer. But I really hope it comes. But in the short term, we're going to have a lot of people trying to jump on the hype train, similar to what we saw this last bull run. And we're going to have a lot of people that want to integrate the technology because they see the amount of money that can be provided through it, and the service for the customer or the user, the experience through a blockchain, to me is next to nothing. The security, the amount, what's locked into that blockchain forever and being completely non-changeable, is something that you don't see a lot of times, and technology and blockchain has given us that opportunity. And I think it's so important for so many things in the world that you have that safety, especially with everything that's going on. So I really hope that we get there eventually. And then the second part was, how does Frozen Walrus? Obviously I'm thinking like 30 to 50 years out. I don't want to speculate on Frozen Walrus 30 to 50 years out. DeFi is an ever-changing game, and I don't want to try and like hype everybody up or something for a 30-year roadmap plan, right?
All right, and happy Epoch, everybody. We're a little late, and somebody mentioned in chat we are now back to 5 mil TVL, which is awesome. Welcome back to the 5 mil club, everybody. And let's see here. Edge734 wants to know, given the small allocation of Walrus share emissions for the new US Dibs Walrus farms, what are your thoughts on having that specific Magic Auto Compounder vault use its fees to burn Walrus share instead of US Dibs or Walrus?
Well, that's one thing I wanted to. Okay, so I actually read that question prior, and I had a thought about it. No, we're not going to do it with that pool specifically. I still want Walrus to be the go-to thing there, right? Just because it's too essential to make sure that we're burning Walrus. But I do think that the Walrus share USDC pool can buy back Walrus share and burn it to an extent, and I think that'd be really cool. So I'm going to ask Owen and Avery.
Avery's here.
Avery's probably here. I'm sure he can tell me if they can do it or not. Right now, we currently have the USDC going back to the Treasury, but I would love to use some of those funds to buy back Walrus share and turn it deflationary while also impacting the utility with new PEG tokens. I think they could do a lot of justice for the price. Again, I mean, even at $200, I see in my head, I see Walrus share in a very different position in the future.
All right. Rinko Sniper wants to know, a certain node project that shall not be named but is very weak at the moment has these little health bars that fill up as you get to the end of your token emissions from that node. Because I'm compounding nodes, there is almost no way to see how much juice I have per node. Is this something we can add so we can confirm visually how much we have left per node for all our nodes combined? second part. Can we do Tusk Talks an hour earlier? It's a tad late for the Europeans.
Yeah, so I was thinking with Dylan going full time, he can be with me at different times. I'm thinking of like alternating our Tusk Talk Fridays. So 2 times a month we do it at the same time, and then 2 more times of that month we do it at an earlier time or a time that's better suited for people overseas that aren't in my local time zone. So I think that I want to start implementing that possibly for the next 2 Ask Me Anythings. I'll schedule them at different times. And that gives you all a different opportunity to be able to ask questions and get answers and stuff without having to hear me through a recording. So, yeah, I want to be able to provide that for you. Sorry, I need to make more availability. It is difficult with me having being a full-time dad and my fiance going to school full-time. And so I'm here with the kids most of those times. So with Dylan being here, we may be able to work out sometimes, right?
Yeah, I don't have shit going on.
Yep.
And then the health bar thing on the nodes.
Oh, the nodes, it's similar to the displays. I have to get with LP about what we can display. It's really up to him. What else?
All right. Aries Lemarian asks another question. It was, I really anticipated the instant decision today to make people whole who got affected by the Zap issue. What are your views on ethics in the crypto space, and how do you want Frozen Walrus to be seen in this regard?
I mean, by no, like, I don't want to do a holier than thou speech, right? I can only speak on my intentions and what I try and prove to you all. There's a lot of people that knowingly or unknowingly screw other people over, and I am doing my damnedest to educate myself every day to ensure that I don't do that to you all. That's what I can speak on for myself. I'm catching up and I'm learning at fast rates about a lot of different things, especially with security. I'm trying to keep up with the ever-growing demand that we need on security. There's a lot of people that just don't care. They just want to launch a project and see what happens, right? I didn't want to launch Frozen Walrus and see what happens. I wanted to launch Frozen Walrus to launch my career in DeFi and make a name for myself. And I think I'm doing a good job on that. A lot of people seem to know me, or more people than they did when I first launched Frozen Walrus, right? So that's what I wanted when I launched this project. I wanted to run a successful project, help investors out with a platform that was safe, easy, and engaging, and with a lot of education, and provide you all some of the same opportunities I didn't get when I was early in my stages of DeFi. And again, I wanted to launch my career in DeFi. I wanted to be in this full time. I absolutely love it with everything in me. So that's really what I wanted. And there's a lot of people that don't give a shit that just come in this space. They're like, dude, I don't want to work anymore. I'm just going to go to DeFi and launch a shit project. And people will just invest in it because it's a bull season. Thank God we're out of the bull market right now. And people aren't able to do that. So nobody's quitting their day job to try and run a project similar to what I did, I guess. Other than Dylan. Dylan's quitting his job and doing that. But he has a little bit of he has a backing, which is me. So it's a little bit different. He's not just trying to shoot it and see if it fits, but instead he knows that he has a place here and that there is opportunity for him to be in a full-time capacity. So I've been able to, well, I guess it's not just me being able to provide that to him, but you all as well. So
yeah, I don't care to go to Austin's house and sleep in the basement. Like, I don't give a shit at all to be a bum on his couch.
And the last thing is, like, there's a lot of people that think they deserve to be here to, like, where I'm at to run a successful project. I don't think I deserve it. I'm just very appreciative that I'm able to do it. And that appreciation comes out as, like, genuine care for you all. And so that makes me, a little bit different, I hope, is that I actually, like, sometimes I'm even like, whoa, I'm running this, I'm doing this, and I'm doing good at it, and this is what I was supposed to do. And so I'm appreciative. I don't think, man, all these people are going to listen to me because I'm running Frozen Walrus. Like, that's a bullshit take. Nobody in this space is some, gigabrain Chad that knows everything, right? Everybody has a space to learn. And if the leader you have isn't learning or taking advice from the community, get the fuck out. Because nobody knows everything about this space and everybody could learn something. So just letting you guys know, that's a huge sign, a telltale sign of getting the hell out, in my opinion.
circling back to earlier, the deflationary mechanism on Walrus Share, Avery said he can burn Walrus Share. Just send them straight to him and he'll burn them for you.
Yeah, well, I would hope that you can also just do it through the contract, but I mean, we'll have to have a separate conversation.
All right. In the meantime, do not send Walrus Shares to Avery for now. For now, maybe in the future.
Oh shit, Grape's about to peg. Can we talk about Grape in here? Yes. I've done
Grape's pegging?
Hold on. I've done
Finally.
Listen, to anybody that's in Grape that doesn't come here often, listen, there was Avery. I'm gonna attest this to you, starting shit that I'm taking all the Grape or I'm listen, we have a very good relationship, I thought, with Grape. Until they recently temporarily lost peg, which I've only ever spoken highly of Grape. LB knows this, so we joke about it. I've only ever spoken highly of Grape or found ways that was lucrative for both of us to retain in the same blockchain, the same layer. It's talks that we have all the time to make sure that we're providing different but similar use cases so that our tokens always have utility and that we can have a symbiotic relationship. Now, I've thought about that extensively. But what I get is a bunch of memes thrown in my face that, oh, why is Frozen Walrus doing well and Grape is temporarily underpegged? Like, again, people have to realize that TVL is not shifting, right? TVL is not shifting out of Frozen Walrus right now to go back into Grape. It's people that are playing the system and they just want it. And again, Grape was printing for over 7 months with a huge track record on it. There was inflation. It went under. It is now going back up. This is why Grape is an OG, because it was under and now it's going back up. The community is educated, driven, and they knew what it was going to take. It doesn't take one day to move a mountain. It takes time and compounding and education and getting new members and people buying back in, using their profits. All of those things are happening right now. It's a slower process, but by no means does that mean it's my fault or somebody else's fault or Liquid Capital's fault, or like sometimes the market moves. It doesn't have to be a blame on somebody. You don't have to blame somebody for something to happen. So many investors look for a reason why their investment failed. It doesn't mean it's your fault. It doesn't mean it's the platform's fault. Sometimes the market don't move the way you want it to. So that's all I got to say. I didn't steal any Grape. I love Grape and I've constantly supported them and I always will. I wear a Grape t-shirt to like 3 out of 4 of my videos every month. And that's mainly because I don't have a lot of shirts, but also because
I have 4 shirts.
But also because I love Grape and I want both platforms to succeed deeply. I love LB and so never ever think that I'll ever try and undermine Grape's success or try and piggyback off of it or anything like that. I love Grape and I'm a mod in Grape.
I heard you and LB might know each other.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Like, are you guys like acquaintances?
Yeah. For some reason, people think me and someone a million miles away. I want to meet LB. I looked at round trips to where he lives, and it's like $3,000.
You gotta get passports.
Yeah, I gotta get passports. I've never been on a plane, guys.
He has not. I hate planes. I don't like flying. All right, we still got a couple questions. I haven't even started on the questions that got asked after we started. So, our best friend Paul Dutton wants to know if this will be the night for the most questions in AMA history. Yes, I think it is. This is turning into an MSNBC special.
I fucking love it, dude. I'm so happy that we have all these questions.
Austin's torqued right now.
I'm torqued up, man.
Tone Impa, you're gonna have to tell me how to say that name in chat if you're in here. Wants to know, how will Narwhal release affect current nodes, farms, and the boardroom?
So
will they grow even more in yield production, or will they shrink a bit? Will we ever get a dark mode option?
Yeah, so throw that last one in there. Listen, as soon as we get, like, again, me and Piggy are expanding our team, but you all know what people that have access to contracts can do to contracts. They have a very rigorous model to get new developers in, right? And so currently we're trying to onboard more members that can work on front end, blah, blah, blah. So we're doing that. We're trying to make a scalable team that can work on many different projects that, of course, all are somehow benefiting our main TVLs, which are our tomb forks. So yeah, how will it affect emissions? Well, Walrus share is always going to be emitted by the same amount, right? We have a certain allocation amount. It can never be differed. It can only be split up. So with that being said, if Walrus share goes up based on demand for Walrus share in 2 different boardrooms, then naturally the APRs will climb with it. If the APRs, if Walrus Share continues to go up and we add one new farm and Walrus Share were to go up 25% or 30%, whatever it may be, maybe it is 50, I can't remember, then we won't see any APRs change. The allocation amounts will be the same, plus we'll have to add an additional one, which will, dampen the other two. But again, if Walrus Share makes up for it by having more utility, then we've added a farm for pretty much for free as far as like APR looks, right? Hopefully that answers that.
I think it did. And then night mode.
Night mode.
What about night mode?
Night mode. I might ask our front end guy that we've had working on some of our stuff if he can work on I don't know, Piggy could probably let me know if that's something that I can ask him, because I do have like the night mode stuff. I just got to change the colors around a bit. But night mode's not as easy as putting a slider on your page. I learned that. So yeah, I'd love a night mode. I know it bleeds people's eyes, man. I know. I want to fix it.
And then do you have any estimation on Genesis Pool APRs?
Dylan. Why? Are you just reading shit off the page and not realizing that I've already talked about it?
No, I'd made that completely up just to see if I could pester you. All
How
right,
dare
I
you.
got another question from
How
Blame.
dare you?
He wants to know, can we work out a deal with Magic? Avery, pay attention. This is for you. Can we work out a deal with Magic to make Walrus Share USDC LP with the Walrus Share gained from that pool? It would work in the background and negates all pressure more than that. I copy and pasted this question. I'm sorry.
Guys, choppy at best. I don't know what you're asking.
Yeah,
The Walrus
I don't
Share,
either.
the Walrus Share that is emitted.
Flames here.
Walrus Share that's emitted. No, he's not. He's sleeping. He sent me a DM. He's trying to coast that one Walrus Share. So he's like many of you probably in here, probably sleeping and just sitting in here with 126 people. Half of you are asleep. No, it's okay. I don't care. But no, I think he's saying that the walrus that you would normally get out of that farm, can we not just put that back in? And I think that's what the Walrus Share strategy with Magic is automatically doing. It just sends some of that back to the treasury in USDC format, sell some of it. But again, that's a question that Avery could probably better explain in the chat. What the fuck is the question, bro? Yeah, so maybe we should ask that to him to better explain it. Go on to the next one.
All right. The next one is Esprit 007 asks, is there a date known when the game will be released? And also, I'll let you answer that one first.
No dates.
No dates. Shit.
You just
Okay,
don't-
we're good.
uh,
Nope, we're good. We're good. What is the thing that makes you guys keep going during the bear market and rug pulls all over the place? Well, it's the community for me.
Yeah, I live and bleed this stuff now, man. My family wants Frozen Walrus merch. Like, this is me. This is what I embody this now in real life and in this platform. This is something that I found a passion for, a love for, and I never want to let that go. And the only way I can't let that go is if I work 15 hours a day and continue to, nurture this. So that's, it's not something that I'm tired of. And I look around and it's a bear market. It's a shit market. I'm scared to death for my family and for my financial well-being, of course. Right. But that's the risk you take on when you become, full-time in DeFi, no matter who you are. So it's not a risk that I don't share with other people that are doing the same thing. And then I see the rug pulls and stuff like that, and I fear for it. I fear that people that touch our contract that are not on my internal team could do something sinister and affect you all personally. I would be, just heartbroken if something like that were to occur. And so, I get scared about that. And you can even ask Piggy. I'm very frantic about allowing anybody access to very specific stuff. And that's why I try and teach myself so much about contract security and stuff like that, is because I'm so delicate with the contracts, because I'm so fearful of having good intentions, but me leaving the space with people thinking I had bad intentions. It's a huge fear. I go to bed thinking it. Like, what if somebody has access that wasn't supposed to? And so I fear it a lot. That's why I try and do so much, is like the multi-sig and things like that. It's just one of those things you have to balance. I have to get things done on the contract. I have to hire people to do those things. But it's a fear.
And then his final one was, do you ever feel like giving up?
Do I ever feel like giving up?
Can't give up.
No, I don't ever feel like giving up.
Y'all know our faces. We can't give up.
I really don't have an option to. I mean, look at what happens in the space when somebody of good intentions even tries to leave a project. It's not an option for me, and I knew that when I got into it. It's not something that like you should feel bad about. Like I knew that going into it. It sucks sometimes when you think about it, but it puts me in a corner, and when I'm in a corner, similar to how I got into this position, is that this is where I do well when I don't have those options. There is no other option. Truly, I mean, there is no other option for me other than to make Frozen Walrus a big success and make a name for myself.
All right. Temporal Ice asked earlier in the chat, what's the plan for V Walrus?
What's the plan?
What's the plan?
The plan is, of course, you stake your walrus for X amount of time, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year lockup, and then you're able to get vested V Walrus and a boost to your boardroom. And so that's actually after Narwhal's launched. That's what we have our main dev working full time on. I actually want to try and do something like maybe make a Walrus Narwhal pool and allow you to put that in, and then you get like some kind of token like Tundra or something that would represent the V token that allows you a greater print. That's something I was thinking about. Or we just do two different V contracts for Narwhal as well. And again, the more skin in the game you have and the longer you stake it, of course you get a bigger bonus because you're taking that off the market permanently. So that's one of those things that I'm very excited for, to see how it works, because it does so well on a lot of different platforms. I'd love to see it implemented in a Tomb Fork. Of course, once we launch it, it will be first to market with it, either in Piggy Dibs or here in Frozen Wars. So I'm very excited for that.
All right, and we touched on this earlier, but we didn't give enough time to it. So can you give us a quick overview of the audit results and talk about potential improvements to the contract?
Yeah, so I spoke on it again. Renouncements, not coming off of it. The amount of constraints that puts on you as a project owner and you all as investors looking to say like, oh, well, we're under peg now. Can you not just add this, this, and this? You know how many times I got asked, could I do this, this, and this? And it was a great suggestion that could have brought us back from peg and snowy or Arctic. A lot of times. And so I knew what those renouncements do. I mean, Avery can even tell you what those constraints are. I mean, it puts you in a bundle that these people want you to have a successful project, yet you have this renouncement of contract that means that you can't do anything with those tokens. So I won't be doing that. Not for quite some time. Again, if we get to a point where I feel like a decentralized approach will work, of course, I would love to do that. And so I'm not taking it off the table, just not right now. And then as far as like what else we can do, again, I want to put us on a multi-sig contract where the deployer and myself are all in the multi-sig, so that anything being done on the contracts goes through that multi-sig, and so that we are able to communicate it. It is much slower, so we won't be able to make like very fast changes. So allocation changes, things like that would take a little bit more time depending on the main dev and me and our our different time zones and stuff like that. So they're really, I even spoke with LB. I said, how's this audit come out to you? And he said it looks completely normal. And so I'm very happy with it.
You know LB?
I do know LB. Yeah, yeah.
From Grape?
Yeah, he is from Great Finance. I actually do know him.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yep.
All right. So that concludes our questions asked prior to the AMA.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, we've got about another hour and a half of questions left, but I'll let you decide on how much longer we go. Let's see here.
I got to cook steaks. I got some women at the house that want me to cook steaks for them. The kids want steaks, so I do have to get off. But I got another like 15 minutes to fire them off, and let's keep it going.
All right, well, we're gonna fire them off. Let me get up here. All right, let's see here. Give me just a second. Like I said, I don't have these wrote down. AMA question from Andy Tomb. Is it like a plan to invest some of the treasury funds on LP nodes anytime APRs get a bit lower?
Yep, exactly. We want to make sure that we're enticing those note holders and show them that we are supporting it to make sure that you know that you're going to get more than your payout, because that is a risk with those nodes. And so we're trying to take as much risk off the table by investing in those nodes with our own protocol and liquidity.
Steven Little Tittle wants to know, I got a question. You guys plan on getting some decent sleep anytime soon? I took a nap prior to this.
I've been sleeping really well. I tell myself after I was like going for like, about a month straight of just like nonstop, right when we launched, I said that, I will be better for you all if I have better sleep. And so I'm trying to make sure that I incorporate good sleep, even with the baby and stuff. My fiance's been a big help. I do want to get to a point where I'm able to even spend more time with my family and stuff, because that makes me happier, which makes me better at my job. I just want to make sure that I get all this stuff done. So it's ever expanding how much there is to do. So
Noyan wants to know when the second boardroom will be open. Is it 1 to 2 days after Narwhal launch, or will it be at the end of the Genesis phase?
We're still debating it. Similar to how it took me forever to debate it with Walrus, I just want to make sure I'm implementing something that I know is going to work in the current market. So I'll just wait to be able to release that information.
And 734 wants to know, how will DAO votes and giveaways based on boardroom staking work with a multiple boardroom situation?
Similar to what we did with US Dibs and Dibs, 2 different boardrooms. We just add both share contracts, both boardroom contracts to the same thing. So you'll be able to access with either shares in either boardroom. So it'll go as a non-event for you all.
I'm SoFly718. How long will Genesis last?
2 weeks and less. And again, I've stated this very clearly in the medium that I feel like it's not healthy for the protocol. I will end it early. So I'm just letting everybody know that now. If I feel like a week was enough exposure and we have the boardroom printing, I'll end it in a week. It's imperative to me that I keep the health of the protocol overall, other than some people that said that I did some false advertising with a 2-week Genesis pool. I'm just letting you know right now. If that's not something you're comfortable with, don't get in the Genesis pool. I could end it at any time. Obviously, I'll give advance notice, but I'm just letting you all know I'll be damned if I work this hard to launch a second peg token and see it get dumped on, and then Walrus also get dumped. So I'm going to be looking out for the health of the protocol. So I want to see, TVL growing in Narwhal, people using the system as it's intended. If I feel like that's being maliciously attacked, then, I'll have a plan for that.
All right, congratulations, Rocket. He became royal throughout the AMA. Let's see here. Wonderful Destruction asked his question. Hold on.
Someone said, I want Dylan to rub my pork butt.
I can do that. I'm quite accomplished at that at this point. I feel like I make really good barbecue. D-Flies wants to know, Dex Finance on BSC has an internal swap which burns their profit token when taking profit. It also allows you to choose which asset to be paid out in. It allows you to be paid in multiple assets. Would you be willing to implement this type of system in Frozen Walrus? What are the pros and cons of this type of system? That's a great question.
He's talking about the ETFs, right? Not the IRA?
Yeah, he specifically mentions ETFs multiple times.
Yeah, so their ETF contract in their boardroom is much different than a current boardroom contract that just prints out a peg token. They've developed that from scratch. It is a very good system. Again, we're in talks with implementing their DEX ETFs with our basket of assets that we choose and allocations that we choose, where you'll be able to mint in and mint out, similar to what you've just spoken about. We're just trying to work on the allocation amounts to make sure that it's benefiting the peg. When it goes under, if it goes under, then being able to give you all exposure to other assets. So, yeah, I'm very excited for that.
From said we are in Q3. Let's see here. We are in Q3. So, circling back to that, Boggs said, have you considered reducing the node payout, Willow, to something that may be more manageable for the treasury, such as 3x instead of 5? Actually, 4.
No. I haven't considered that.
Nodes are nodes.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it hasn't crossed my mind to reduce it. I feel like 500% is an attainable goal for now. But, if that's something that we need to discuss in the future, then we can, of course, I wouldn't do that probably without a DAO vote, though. I wouldn't reduce, node emissions without community support.
All right, let me see here. Can we talk about proper bicep health? Personally, I cannot. What do you think about collab? He didn't. Okay, anyway. Are we still doing weekly node competition?
Yeah. Actually, Dylan's going to spice it up this week. This
Yeah, I've
following
got
week.
a good plan.
Yeah, and then I also
can,
have our front end dev that's working on the high scores list. So hopefully we can get a high scores list up. I got so many people doing so many different things. It's getting hard to keep track of, but yeah, he has that on his task list. So hopefully we can get some type of node high score list soon.
Minnesota Richard said, I understand why Dibs holders would want to expand their utility by being able to farm Walrus share with their US Dibs coin. What benefits do you see for Walrus holders in the new Dibs farm?
That D share has a ton of potential upside, and that getting it
D share is solidly undervalued, completely undervalued.
So I think that once the stability's reached that we're working for over there, then D share will do what it's supposed to do. And then anybody that is getting with the Walrus Farms is just stacking up D share for any potential run ups and is able to use it in their new boardroom to print the new peg token. So I see similar benefits. Just because their price is not the same as our price doesn't mean it's not lucrative. It's just not as lucrative in this circumstance at the current time.
All right. Would you consider partnering with other successful dexes from Balance Alone?
For other successful dexes, what was you broke up?
Would you consider partnering with them?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't want to spread our liquidity too thin though, so probably just Swapsicle and Trader Joe for now, I think.
All right, let's see here. DH Winter wants to know, will Narwhal nodes get the backing of the treasury like you did with Walrus?
Of course, yeah.
All right. Princess J20 wants to know, have you considered using modified formulas for any future nodes?
What is it? Say it again.
Have you considered using modified formulas for any future nodes?
I have not considered that, no. I can write it down. I don't know what modified means and like what capacity.
Write it down. All right, let's see here. Can we get an audio sound of a walrus when we buy nodes and hit the button?
Yeah, I'll write it down.
We're gonna jot that one down, Zephram. Actually, that was Rybear 503. We're gonna jot that down. All right. And then it was mainly a bunch of bullshit after this. So I think we got through most of the questions. If you have any quick questions, ask now or forever hold your peace.
All right.
Yes, Bugs. Austin's arm is perfectly fine. It was my arm that was injured, and I'm back to normal. By the way, guys, I'm good to go. Arm's back to 100%. Got 2 weeks left at work. Win bobs. They can be right now if you DM me. Yes, it's normal.
All right, Dylan.
Can you let Walter play some smooth jazz?
Yeah, he's going to play some smooth jazz. We do have to do a giveaway for the best question and the one person that's here. Then we have to do Walter's assistant. So we need to make a pick there. Let's see.
I've got Dave the 16th, Wally, Bugs Crypto, and Stargazer for best questions. I'll let you pick out of that group.
Who are the four? Say it again.
We've got Bugs, who asked a multitude of great questions. Yeah. Dave the 16th wanted to know if there's one main point you want every investor. That question. Wally was the one that asked, every investor holds the token for the short term. How can you ensure us holding frozen? That question. And Stargazer said, people will evaluate a given tomb fork using any number of criteria. The APR question.
Yeah, those are all good questions. I think Bugs just had so many really good, intricate questions that really got my brain moving. So I'll go with Bugs. As far as
Bugs,
congratulations, Bugs. And then you can pick one random person that's in the chat right now or in the.
Golly, we had a big showing. One person in the chat I saw the whole time. I'm pretty sure the whole time it was XKKX3. Got your little Vegeta twin.
Nice. Congratulations,
KK
man.
is XKK is in Dibs and Walrus. He's always doing well. He's always helping out in the chat too. Also, I'll let you crown the wingman for the week.
All right. They've given me a couple different options here. Let's see. I think Valens should get it.
Valence?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I see you in the chat a lot, and I think that you give a lot of good feedback and you help the community a lot. So I think I'll pick that. So congratulations to you, since your wallet's in. I'm gonna put Walter back on. Again, I have a lot of stuff to cook before, and it's already 8:44. I'm gonna have some pissed off people. That's okay. At least you all aren't pissed off.
I'll never be pissed off.
Thank you guys so much. Final statements is thank you guys so much. This is a long ass mini thing, but you better believe that I loved every second of it. Thanks for hanging out with me again on another Friday. We're on episode 11, which means we've done 11 weeks of this. And we're never going to slow down on it. So thank you all for trusting with me and to be an investor. And if you're new and you're listening and you haven't invested, thank you for looking into us. And I hope you all have a really good weekend. And again, I like to leave off on a positive note. Try and do something good for somebody else. I really want to help people and give back, and part of that is being able to influence you all to do something and give back. So simple as helping your mom out, helping your dad out, helping a random stranger in the store. Try and do something good this weekend. Make you feel better. Dylan, you got anything?
Brando. No, I'm gonna stay up here for a little bit. I got another beer to drink before I have to do anything else. So I'll stay up here and bullshit if anybody wants to come up.
All right. Brandon needs to come up then. All right, guys.
Should that be a thing? Should we let Brando come up while I've been drinking? That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, man. Brandon's all good. He's not currently in. He's